Hello guys and welcome to another video. My name is Mark, I'm an entrepreneur and property investor. In today's video, I'm going to be watching and live reacting to the Andrew Tate versus Samuel Leeds video, which currently has 670,000 views. So a hell of a lot of eyeballs on it, and it's all about property investing. Now I've spent a bit of time with Samuel in the past. I've also watched a little bit of Andrew Tate's content, so I know what both these guys are about, but my videographer Tom watched this yesterday and he said, I know you haven't done it before, but will you do a reaction video? Give your commentary and let your viewers get your perspective on all of this. So that's what I'm going to do today. And if you like those sort of videos, please give this video a big like. It really does help me out with the algorithm. And if you haven't already subscribed, why not consider subscribing? Remember, we do give away the dividends from our subscriber dividend portfolio every single month. And that's coming up very shortly. I think we're going to release this video on Saturday. And I think by Wednesday next week, we're going to have the dividends for the last month. And therefore, we're going to be able to draw a lucky winner to win those for sometime next week, I guess. But let's get into the video. I haven't done a reaction video before, so I guess I'm going to learn as we go along. But let's start watching this video together and see how we get on.
No, I think the thing is, Andrew, you are a straight talker, right? And that's one of the things I think so many people love about you. You say it absolutely as it is. And my fear is, if you say, real estate's dangerous, this is dangerous, people will not know what to do and they'll end up doing nothing, leaving their money in the bank.
That's true. All right. So I guess for context, I guess Andrew's already said something along the lines of real estate's dangerous, investing in property's dangerous, and Samuel's coming back and saying, you know, your audience are going to be influenced by that. And obviously Samuel's a big believer in real estate investing, as I am, or property investing as we call it in the UK. So I guess that's where the confrontation is going to come from, and he's going to defend that point.
Help us out.
Okay, that's true.
Help us out.
When I say real estate is dangerous, now firstly, you can make money with real estate. You can make money with real estate. I'm not saying it's dangerous from that perspective. I'm talking about my own personal ideology. Yeah. My personal ideology is I don't want to be within control of a government. I don't want a government to control me. If I didn't think that way, then I'd be a lot less opposed to real estate. I mean, a house is always going to be worth something. It ain't going to go to zero. You know, it's not like a risk like a crypto or a stock that can go to zero. A house will always be worth something, and you can definitely make a lot of money in it. I'm just at the position where I just don't want to have a government to have control of me.
I'm sorry, I've got to jump in here. There's no way, and I'm assuming he's talking about not being able to answer to governments. Now, no matter where you are in the world, you're going to have a government to answer to. There are going to be ways that people are going to be able to get to you if you do something wrong. And I assume that's his fear. If I do something wrong, or if something happens, I don't want people to be able to come after my stuff. Well, unfortunately, that can happen globally. And there are lots of extradition treaties in place, and where there isn't, there is still ways. We see it in the news all the time. So don't believe that just because you're offshore somewhere, America, the UK, those sort of officials can't get to you. I think they can.
This recent war proved it. Look at all these billionaire Russians who fair and square bought property in London by the law, paid their price, paid the stamp duty, stuck to the rules. Then the president of their country did something they may not have even agreed with it. Who do they know? Do you agree with everything the prime minister does now?
No.
Neither do I. And then the British government came along and just took all their houses off them.
Here's my stance. If you have gold, silver...
I'll tell you what, he's got a point there, right? Imagine you're a legitimate Russian businessman. Completely legitimate, you've done all these things, and the UK government give a blanket confiscation order from Russian oligarchs. Now, I assume there was a little bit of research done, and that they tried to find the guys that had benefited from the corrupt system. And they tried to find the guys that had benefited from any corruption, but I don't know that, so... yeah, I see his point on that.
Anything, especially money in the bank, it can, if you go down the extreme levels enough, it can get taken.
Well, that's true.
Nothing on this earth is freehold. Everything is leasehold.
To a degree, there are certain things which can't be taken.
Like, you won't give us one example though, so it's hard to...
I like Samuel in this. He clearly has the same thought process as me, is that actually, you know, that there's nothing you can really do. These organizations, countries, systems, they're bigger than one individual. There's nothing you can do, and Andrew isn't giving him an example of something he can do where you're outside of that ability to be able to take your stuff. I totally agree.
There are some things that can't be taken.
Okay, but I think that property is one of the hardest things for anybody to take. You can make I make a lot of money in property without owning it as well.
Yeah.
By controlling it.
Absolutely.
And also being a property entrepreneur.
I can't say you don't make money in real estate. And I'm also not saying I don't own any.
You do own property.
Of course I do. But I'm just saying that I don't feel comfortable. I don't go, bought another house. Yes, let me sleep easy. Some guys do. But I think when you truly understand.
You know what I'm doing right now, flipping land and all that kind of stuff. Like, a few years ago, many people said to me, oh, real estate's risky. I've made millions in real estate.
I bet you have.
It's all I know.
I bet you have.
And through controlling it, flipping it,
Yep.
trading it, owning it.
Completely.
And my properties a lot are in my personal name. I've
Yep.
got a lot in company as well now.
Yep.
I think I'm in a pretty safe position. Now, if it gets so bad that they take away everybody's property and the world has ended and there's this massive plague and everybody's dead, you know what? I lived a pretty good life.
I totally agree, with Samuel on that. I think that Samuel's coming from a perspective of, if the government's come after me without due cause and there's a plague and all this sort of stuff. Whereas I think Andrew's thinking more like, what if I say something that gets me cancelled? And it's probably because he has been cancelled, right? And if you can cancel somebody off the internet, surely the next step from that is to take their stuff off them. So I think he's probably a little bit paranoid at this point. And listening to this, I think Samuel's basically saying, I don't believe I'm doing anything wrong or even in that sort of boat. I think they're in different boats on the ocean, to be honest, and having different experiences.
No, completely. And I understand a lot of people will see me as paranoid, and that's fine. But I know you can make a whole bunch of money, but the last thing I'm currently in a situation where I don't need money. So I'm just trying to position myself in a way that I sleep the best as possible.
Yeah.
And I don't feel happy with money in the bank either. I don't.
That's the worst.
Not because of even inflation. Like if I load up my bank balance and it's $87 million, that doesn't make me feel comfortable. It makes me feel the opposite.
Right.
Because the one day you click on the app, sorry, contact customer service. You're like, you fuckers.
Yeah.
You fucking, they'll just do that shit to you. So it's like, I don't like money in my banks. I don't like money in a house. It's hard. I know it's hard.
You're
it's
only
difficult.
insured up to the first £86,000. So if you've got a couple mil and then the bank goes bust, gone.
I'll give away one of the things I like to do. Just one. So personally, I prefer the idea of digital real estate. Because digital real estate is not controlled by one government jurisdiction, and it can be owned by some obscure entity. So let me give you an example. Let's say I were to buy www.money.com. That's worth money. If I could put anything on there and generate money, so that's worth money. I'd pay a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
And let's say that was owned by a Singaporean trust. Boom.
Yeah.
I feel safer with that.
He's absolutely right. If you put trust structures in place, it's far harder to find out who the beneficiaries are of those things. But at the moment, there's a big push for more transparency on trust. And when you look at the big countries that are involved in this push, like the USA, it's likely to happen. And if you're a jurisdiction where it's not happening, I can see a future where you're just completely ostracized from the global banking system. So, maybe it's possible today to wrap everything up in trusts and be as invisible as possible. I'm not sure that's where the future holds. And I'm also not sure that's what you want to be positioning yourself for personally. If I'm thinking about it from my perspective, I'm looking at it more Samuel's way. I'm thinking, okay, as long as I do nothing wrong, and as long as I'm playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, because let's face it, all systems are set up for you to go out, create value, and then if you create value, you get a reward. You pay your taxes, of course, but you get a reward. And, as long as you play that game in a fair way, then you get a just reward. Now, if you change the rules or you try and break the rules, then of course you're going to suffer a penalty. So, I'm sitting more on Samuel's side of this, and I think Andrew sounds a little bit more like he's trying to get away from any of those repercussions. And again, I understand that, right? He has been completely cancelled off every social media platform, and only now, he's coming back to Twitter, isn't he? So, I get the level of paranoia there. I do get it because he's experienced it, and I haven't. So it's hard to walk another man's road when you haven't been in his shoes. I'm very much on Samuel's side of, let's play the game.
I feel
do
safer
the right
with
things.
that.
Okay.
Than a house.
Okay. No, that's interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because now if anyone wants to find out who owns money.com, even though I've just said it here on this podcast, they're like, look it up, some Singaporean trust. Okay, contact the Singapore authorities. Who owns this trust? We can't tell you. Court injunction. Years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
It's complicated, and I feel like I own it more than a house.
See, it's interesting. And my attitude is you've got to invest in what you know.
Yeah.
If you've made a lot of money, you should invest in what you know.
Oh, completely.
I don't invest in certain stuff if I don't understand it.
Completely.
And even if people tell me, this is a great investment, this is a great coin, I'm thinking, I'm all good, thanks.
Yeah.
Because I want to invest in what I understand.
100%. Knowledge is so valuable, right? And if you know what you're investing in, you can make so much more money. There's no question. I know property really well. In terms of stocks and picking stocks, I wouldn't have a clue where to start. In terms of indexes, I completely understand the process of buying index funds and holding forever. So again, something I'm comfortable with and I make money in it. I didn't understand the fast food restaurant business, and I had a failure. I do understand taxis, and we are building a big business. So absolutely agree, 100%, invest in what you know.
And if you understand digital assets,
Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, I think owning a website or a link, for me, would feel more risky, because I can just see any minute, bang, can't open it. I'd rather own land where even if there's a war and the house gets knocked down, I've still got the land. There's a shortage of land.
I understand.
You know,
I understand.
But
and there's so many ways to skin a cat. And that's what's so beautiful about making money, right? And I completely understand that. My block is ideological. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I know that a lot of money can be made. However, let me give a caveat to that.
Oh, here we go.
I do think that most of the ways money is made on the planet, nearly all of them are Ponzi schemes. I think stocks are a Ponzi scheme. And when I say Ponzi, I mean that if you're in early, you make a bunch of money. And if you're in late, you get wrecked. Money doesn't come from the thin air. Money doesn't come from the sky. So let's look at crypto, right? A lot of people ask me about crypto.
Crypto's a Ponzi scheme, in my opinion. Crypto is a Ponzi scheme.
Hey, what do you think about this coin?
We're going to agree here.
Most people don't understand that the crypto market is player versus player. And it's funny because these new crypto coins launch and they start these Telegram groups, these communities. And all the people who have bought the coin are in this community and they're all like acting like they're friends. You're not friends.
Yeah.
If you bought it at $1 and you want to sell it at a profit of $10, someone has to buy it off you. So it doesn't just come from the sky. You're selling it for more than you bought it for, right? So a bunch of people get in, money comes in, price goes up and up and up and up and up and up. There's always going to be a guy who bought the top.
Yeah.
And it never goes up anymore.
Yeah.
And he gets screwed. There's X amount of people at the top who get wrecked. So
100%.
make money.
Yeah.
It's a Ponzi. Every crypto is a Ponzi, all of them. I could go get $100 million right now, go to England, walk around, and make a bunch of money in real estate. Because I got liquid cash. It ain't that. I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that. I've got all the time in the world. It might take me 9 years. That'll go up.
Yeah.
That'll go up. That'll go up. I could do it. But there's also Bob and Sally working their ass off, 22-year mortgage, 10% interest rate, slugging it. When we own our home, Sally, then we'll be okay.
Don't get me wrong. I think that property is something that can be bad. I think that buying your own home, I think that the Help to Buy scheme is a scam. Because I'm a developer.
Okay.
So I build houses.
Yep.
And the Help to Buy scheme is not Help to Buy, it's Help to Sell.
Yeah.
Because basically the people that are getting bought into the Help to Buy, the government are loaning them the money, they have to pay it back.
Yep.
It's only applicable to a new build.
See, this is where I agree. I agree completely with the Help to Buy scheme. I don't really like it at all. It is for new builds only, and in certain areas of the country, you're going to lose 10, 20% of the value the second you buy the house. So yeah, I totally agree with Samuel on this. But owning your own home, I think for some people, that's quite a good step onto the property ladder and a good way to start investing. Let's think about somebody who maybe earns 40, 50 grand a year and it's going to take them a while to save up a deposit. Let's assume they don't have rich family or they're not able to raise funds from investors and they're not looking to become a property developer. They just want to invest in property. Well, to save up maybe 50 grand to get started on a buy-to-let, that's going to take them a while. Whereas to save up £10,000 or £15,000, get a 5% mortgage and get involved in the property industry, that's much less time. And then the mortgage and the rent will be about the same. I don't see the big negative that other people talk about. I still think on your balance sheet, you've got an asset. Yeah, you've got a liability, but you've still got an asset on your balance sheet. And if you're just renting, you wouldn't. Now, the asset you could say on renting is the flexibility. And I rented my last house, and I know that I was able, during COVID, to downsize and do what I needed to do because I rented. And if I bought it, it wouldn't have been the right move. And for me, in that instance, it wasn't the right move to buy, so I didn't. But for some people just starting out, and for some people who maybe further on in their journey, who maybe aren't aspiring to have $100 million. Let's face it, Andrew Tate's talking about 100 million. Most people aren't going to have that. So for the majority of people, it's going to be the right move to buy something, live in it, let it appreciate, sell it, get something bigger, or rent it out, keep the income and buy something else. it's going to be the right move for the majority.
It's only applicable if you live in it.
Yep.
So it's really to encourage the developers
to buy,
to build and flog off their stock at an expensive price. And then the people that are buying it, the second that they buy it, it drops in value because it's a new build.
100%.
They've got to live in it. They're in negative equity. They're finished.
Yep.
So the Help to Buy scheme, I guess, is a way of investing in property, or not even investing, but a way of buying property. I don't think you should do that. I think that before you buy your own home to live in, I do own my own home, but I only bought it last year after making millions. So I think before you buy your own home, if you're ever going to, become a millionaire first.
Oh no, completely. There's so much to say for renting, because when you rent, you have flexibility.
Yeah, true.
I think that flexibility, if we're talking about the attention economy, and we're now living in a world where things are changing so rapidly.
Totally right. Having the flexibility for me was a big benefit. It's something I would still see as a big benefit. And when I move on from my current home, I'm going to rent the next place I live in. You know, if I'd spent £2.5 million on my last house, there was lots of things I didn't like about it, although there was lots of things I did, there were lots of things I didn't. I'm just glad that I could get out, and I didn't have to put 800k down. I only had to put down, what was it, 7,500, something like that in the rent.
Think of how different the world was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago, we had Motorola Razrs, couldn't even do a video on our phones. Now we can film Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy how fast the world's changing. If you're gonna say, for 22 years, I'm gonna live at this address, you're a dummy. Because you might get an opportunity in Japan. Who knows, right? Yeah. You're a dummy to do that. So I agree. I own the house I live in. No, sorry, I don't. An entity in a company, blah, blah, owns the house I live in. That was a cash. And that's only because I wanted it the way I wanted it. I want to renovate all this. I want bulletproof glass. Okay, just buy it. Yeah. That's why I did it. But in general, yeah, you should renting allows you flexibility. Yeah. And flexibility is very important in the modern world.
To get rich.
To get rich, you might need to have to go here, go there. Exactly. You might need a month over there. You might want to go do something in Ireland for 2 months. And then also another thing about renting, especially in the Western economy, I know I shouldn't say this, and this is probably going to piss off your guys, but it's true. There's really very little downside to renting, because even if you don't pay your rent, they can't make you leave. Like, it's fucking clown world over here. Like, oh, you're renting 3 months, you don't even pay your rent, and you're still fucking sleeping fine. Yeah. So the whole thing is like, rent is fantastic. I would only recommend renting, unless you get to the point like you, where you have so much money, you just buy it.
That's why our tenants are guests, not tenants.
Good, I like that.
So they don't have the same...
Well, I live in Romania, so we have my tenants, because I do have tenants, we have a slightly different system in Romania. You're an hour late, bro. You better pack or pay. But
you know what though? They make it really strict to try and help the tenants. But what actually happens is the landlords become really no. The landlords become really strict with the vetting process.
Yeah, of course.
Ask for big deposits. Yep. My sister's trying to rent somewhere. She's a single mom, and the letting agent said we don't rent to single moms.
Yep.
Right? So what's happening is it's actually hurting the tenants.
Of course, yeah.
Samuel's absolutely right. Capitalism will always find a way, and the landlords, if you put regulation in the way that's going to affect profit, then you're going to have to make sure that you work the system to make sure that there's still a profit for you. And Andrew was talking about the eviction process. You want to make sure that your tenant's going to pay, right? So you do stronger vetting, you make sure you take larger deposits, you restrict the deposits, okay, you do even stronger vetting to make sure that you don't have any issues. And then some people who maybe aren't going to pass that are just never going to get rented to. We hear it a lot in the HMO space, where people are trying to maybe rent a one-bedroom flat, but they haven't been able to because their income maybe isn't the right multiplier, whereas in a HMO room with bills included, easily affordable.
So it's all the things that the government do to try and help the poor often end up hurting the poor.
What did we say earlier about trying to give money out? The government is not capable of helping the poor. And this is why it's so important as a person, you take personal responsibility and understand you're living in a world where the matrix can be cracked. You can make a bunch of money, but you need to take responsibility and do it.
And they close your bank and stuff.
Yeah, they close bank accounts, payment processing. That's what I mean, own the money, right?
Yeah.
Your bank account.
But they didn't take your properties off you.
Well, they can't.
Yes, exactly.
But that's because of how I've set things up.
Right, so you need to be smart in how you do it.
Yeah.
Do it through a company.
Well, that's right. But I also think that Joe Schmo, who's just starting off buying his house, doesn't do it smart.
Absolutely. You know what though, in the UK, they've devastated landlords. The taxes, everything, they're killing landlords.
Yeah.
But the rich corporations that are investing in property, the way they're doing it, it's very profitable.
Completely.
So the small guy needs to learn how the big guy's doing it and duplicate it.
Well, I found that all really quite interesting. I find myself completely fascinated by both these guys, to be fair. I think Samuel Leeds, obviously very much into property. Andrew Tate, I mean, they were talking at the end there about how his bank accounts were frozen and taken off him. I can understand why you become paranoid with that. But guys, let me know in the comments your thoughts. I'm massively interested because these are two very divisive characters. You know, I would love to know what your thoughts are. Those are mine. I think investing in property is still a fantastic idea. I think as long as you do it the right way, as long as you stick to the law, as you should be, then there are no issues with owning it within your personal name or within a company. Just speak to an accountant, speak to solicitors, get the right team around you, and you're going to be okay. I think Andrew is in a very specific situation due to some of the things that he said on social media and the way that that's then led to him being cancelled and for the banks to be shut down and all that sort of stuff. That's a very different situation to the majority of us. So guys, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, let me know as well, because it is my first reaction video, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.